Ever wonder how to get your photos perfectly exposed in manual mode on your camera? If you've ever taken a shot that's way too dark or way too bright, the key to fixing it is the exposure triangle. In this video, I'll show you exactly how ISO, shutter speed, and aperture works together to give you the perfect shot every time. Let's dive in. The exposure triangle consists of three key settings: ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. Understanding how each affects your image will help you master manual mode and take your photography to the next level. Let's break it down. The exposure triangle breakdown. First up is ISO, which controls your camera's sensitivity to light. The lower the ISO, 100 to 400, is great for bright scenes, while a higher ISO, 800 to 3200, helps in low light conditions. But be aware, increasing ISO also increases the noise, or grain. In your image, here's an example of the same shot with different ISO settings. Next, we have shutter speed, which controls how long your camera's sensor is exposed to light. A fast shutter speed like 1000/1 or 5000/1 freezes faster moving objects, while a slower shutter speed like 60/1 or 30/1 captures motion blur, which can be great for creative shots like flowing water. For example, to capture a speeding car, use a fast shutter speed like 1000/1. But if you're shooting flowing water, try a slow shutter speed like 50/1 or even lower to get silky smooth effects. Finally, we have aperture, which controls the size of the opening in your lens. A wider aperture like 1.8 or 2.8 lets in more light and creates a blurry background, as you may call it bokeh. A smaller aperture like f11 or f16 or higher is everything in focus. For portraits, use a wide aperture like f1.8 to create that beautiful blurry background. For landscapes, use a smaller aperture like f8 or f11 to keep everything sharp. Now that we know what each setting does, the key is to balancing all three. If you adjust your settings, you'll need to change the other to maintain proper exposure. For example, if you open up your aperture to 2.8 for that blurry background, you'll need to lower your ISO or use a faster shutter speed to prevent overexposure to your image. This is where manual mode comes in handy. You'll use the exposure triangle to find the perfect balance for each scene. Let's look at a real-world example. Here, I am shooting outside with natural light. To get the perfect exposure, I'm going to adjust each setting based on the environment. I'll use a fast shutter speed to freeze motion, or set my aperture wide to blur the background, and then my ISO to keep everything well lit but clean. Now let's talk about some common mistakes. If your image is overexposed, too bright, it's likely because you use too wide of an aperture, too slow of a shutter speed, or too high of an ISO. If your photos are too dark, try opening up your aperture, lowering your shutter speed, or increasing your ISO. And that's the exposure triangle. Remember, ISO controls the sensitivity, shutter speed controls the motions, and aperture controls the depth of field. Mastering these three elements will help you take perfect photos every time. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below about what you've learned in this video. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.